Okay, so going to look at the sine rule, cosine rule, and area of a triangle. So we use the sine rule if we have two pairs of information, so an angle and the side opposite, and another angle and the side opposite that. So in a question you'll be given 3 bits of information and you need to work out a fourth. So if your 4 things include 2 pairs, you use the sine rule. If your 4 things include all 3 sides and 1 angle, then we use the cosine rule. And if your 3 things include 2 sides and an angle in the middle of them and the area, then we use the area formula. Now, instead of trying to memorize the formulas, the exact letters, try and remember the pattern. So for sine rule, I guess that one's the easy one to remember. The cosine rule, the easiest way to remember it is, say I want to find this side here. Let's do the B one. If I want to find this side here, then what I do is I start off with Pythagoras, starting with the b. So b squared equals a squared plus c squared. And then I take away 2 lots of those 2 sides as well. And I times by cos of the angle opposite b. So these 2 are the same letters. Yeah, b and b. That's the only time they appear. Yeah, remember the pattern, because examiners will not label them nicely for you A, B, C. They might use P, Q, R. They might use 3 random letters. So just be aware of that. And the same for the area. If I want to use the area, I need 2 sides and then the angle between them. Okay, so these 5 questions you were asked to do yourself. So if I highlight what I've got, so I've got a side and an angle opposite. I've got an angle and I'm trying to find the side AC, so that's the side opposite as well. So I've got 2 pairs of information, so I'm going to use the sine rule. So I'm trying to find x, so I'm going to do x divided by sine of the angle opposite, so sine 40 equals 12 divided by sine of the angle opposite, so 60. I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to times both sides by sine 40, so 12 sine 40 divided by sine 60. And then just type that in my calculator. And we get 8.9067 blah 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 blah. Now if you look at the question, I have 60, 40 and 12, so all the numbers are 2 significant figures, so I'm going to round my answer to 2 significant figures, so 8.92 significant figures. Okay, the next one. We want to find side C and angle B in this triangle ABCD. So let's start off by hiding what we have. I have this side, and this angle. And first of all, I want side C. So I've got 3 sides and 1 angle, so I'm going to use the cosine rule. So since I'm trying to find this C, I'm going to put c squared by itself first, equals the other 2 sides squared. So it's like Pythagoras, and I take away 2 lots of 15 times 19, cos the angle opposite C, which is 30. And then I can just simplify that. So 15 squared plus 9 squared, take away 2 times 15 times 19, cos 30. And I get 92.365, goes on forever. Now I'm going to square root that, but I'm going to use the answer button on my calculator. So on my calculator, I'm going to type in square root of the answer to keep it nice and exact, and I get 9.610, which is, again, all the numbers are given to 2 significant figures, so I'm going to write that as 9.6. And now to find angle B, so I'm trying to find this angle. Well, I've got this side, so I've got the side opposite. I've also got this angle, and I've now got this side opposite. So if I call this angle x, then I can use the sine rule, because I've got two pairs. So x divided by, sine x divided by 15 equals sine 30 divided by c. Now I'm going to use the exact value. If you don't know how to store numbers in your calculator, just use the answer button. So 9.610. So I'm going to times it by 15. So 15 sine 30 divided by 9.610. So if I do 15 sine 30 divided by my answer, I get sine x is 0.7803. Now again, I'm going to keep nice and exact. So to get x, I'm going to do the inverse of sine, which we call arc sine, on both sides. So I'm going to do inverse sine of my answer, and I get 51.295, and so it's two significant figures. It's 51 degrees. Next one, so I'm asked to find the area. So I highlight what I've got. I've got this side, I've got this side, I've got the angle in the middle. So to get the area, well, it's nice and easy. I'm just going to use the area formula. So the area equals a half times the sides, so times 9 times 6 times sine of the angle in the middle, so times sine 60, and just type that in my calculator. And we get 27/2, or as decimal, we can write 13.5. So since it's an exact answer, I can just leave it like that. I don't need to round it. Next one, find the size of the angle ABC. So that's this angle here. So highlight what we've got. We've got all three sides, and we're trying to find that angle. So that means cosine rule. So I'm going to start off by writing the cosine rule out. So it's 22 squared, because that's opposite the x, equals, so I'll do Pythagoras. So it's 17 squared plus 30 squared. Take away 2 times 17 times 30 cos x. I want to simplify that term, so 22 squared is 484. 17 squared plus 30 squared is 1189, and 2 times 17 times 30 is 1020 cos x. I'm going to take away 1189 from both sides to get minus 705 is minus 1020 cos x. I'm going to divide both sides by minus 1020 to get cos x is 47/68, and to get x, I'm going to do the inverse of cos, so arc cos 47/68. To get x is 46.276, and again, all my information's two significant figures, so I'm going to do 46 degrees. Two significant figures is my final answer. And last one, find the size of the angle marked theta. So highlight what we've got. I've got two pairs, so I'm going to use the sine rule. So sine theta divided by 14 is sine 67 divided by 17 times both sides by 14. So 14 sine 67 divided by 17 which gives me sine theta is 0.758, etc. Now I'm going to do the inverse sine of that answer, so I'm going to use the answer button again. To get 49.29 blah blah blah, and again all my numbers in the question are two significant figures, so I'm going to give my answer to two significant figures, and that's it. So those 5 examples are just revision of GCSE. So if you need to practice those, you can go on OneNote and find the relevant questions on the Year 1 textbook. It'll be under trigonometry, and you'll find sine rule and cosine rule and the area. And the next week in the lesson we'll look at a couple of awkward cases, and then we'll move on with some trig.